Oh man, are you excited for this, Hopkins?
Yeah, I'm ready. We'll do it. Let's do it.
Awesome. All right, folks, welcome to the Practical Pistol Show. My name is Ben, here to answer your shooting questions. On today, we have Hansik Kim.
Hwanshik.
Hwansik? What's the
Hwan.
proper pronunciation?
Hwan with like strong
Do it like fast.
Spanish. Hwanshik.
Hwansik? No, we're just gonna
Yep.
call you Kimmy. And Matt Hopkins,
Hi.
Grandmaster Matt. Matt,
Hello.
are you done like running up the scoreboard on Limb 10 now?
Yeah, two area matches was enough for me.
What a dick. An absolute asshole. All right, let's get to the questions because that's why people come here. Hey guys, I would love some advice on this. I've been having problems with trigger freeze at matches. I don't remember doing this in the past, save for the occasional bill drill. Sometimes I have trigger freeze and my whole hand pushes down on the gun like I was expecting recoil, but when I'm shooting, it actually feels like my hand dips first, so I don't shoot so I can regain a good trigger pull. Maybe this is a separate issue. Another common time I'm freezing up is the last shot before reload. I transition to another position. I start moving or reloading and have to get back on target to finish the second shot. What am I doing? What are some good dry fire or live fire drills to help correct this? Thanks. Hopkins, you're up first, man.
Two different problems.
Two different problems.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe he's exaggerating the first problem and making the second problem.
Okay. Well, I'd love to hear this. What?
Well, dipping the gun sounds like you're anticipating the recoil. I don't know how skilled the shooter is, but like for him to notice that is
let's
pretty
assume not much.
good. Okay.
So what's the solution?
Solution?
Yeah.
I'm not real sure on that.
Perfect. Kim, what do you got?
Sorry.
It's okay.
So, well, let's talk about fixing a habit. First, you got to learn what's the proper technique, or you got to find at least one working answer and repeat that and make the correct technique your new habit, right? So I guess this guy has to find his answer to do something correctly first. And I say if this guy is dipping the gun down before the gun fires, I would actually suggest to do dry fire a little bit more, because in dry fire, the gun's not going to recoil, so the guy can see the gun is dipping. The guy should see it's dipping, so he should develop the correct technique in dry fire and try that, and also go to the range and confirm. And actually, it happened to me beginning of my shooting career. I actually had something similar. I would dry fire okay. I wouldn't see the gun dipping, and I would go live fire, and I would shoot it. But the first round, I would shoot it super accurate. But after the second, third round, I start dipping it again. So I was figuring it out. Oh, this is, for me at the time, it was psychological issue. In terms of I'm trying to control the recoil and all that. That's why the first round is going straight, but the second, third round is now start dipping it. So in that case, in the live fire, I would dry fire a little bit more. And then I would consciously go back and forth from dry fire to live fire and shoot two shots and then make sure I'm not dipping the second and the third shot. And if I do dip, I'll go back to dry fire. So I would, in repetition, I would change my habit in live fire time and also go back to dry fire at home and try to do the correct technique over and over and over. But this guy should confirm if this is a psychological issue, if he's psychologically afraid of recoil control. And also maybe this guy is also doing recoil control part not really correctly. So for what I'm saying is this guy is not effectively controlling the recoil. So maybe there is too much recoil, too much flip, so too much noise. So maybe this guy is afraid of recoil. If this guy was able to control the recoil really, really well, there's no need to afraid because there's not much kick in the first place.
They should shoot a Desert Eagle for a while. Get used to recoil.
No, that's
Oh.
not the answer, I think.
Okay, what's the answer?
But learn the correct recoil control.
Okay.
I went
Yeah.
back and reread this. Can I say
Yeah.
something real quick? He's not
Yeah.
resetting the trigger, and he's like,
Yes, trigger
Just-
freeze.
yeah, he's not resetting the trigger, which is causing the gun to dip because he thinks he's actually going to fire it under recoil.
Yes.
It's probably not an issue at all, except for resetting the trigger.
Okay, well, guys, you guys have done well, but I'm gonna give the person the answer to their question. Okay, It's gonna be amazing. You just fucking prepare yourselves. Okay, so yes, the trigger freeze is something that does happen with people. What I noticed this happen is when people try to go fast or get put under pressure is when they start having that trigger freeze where their firing hand over tenses and they don't reset the trigger. Okay? So the cause is typically psychological, causes tension, not resetting the trigger. We're on the same page so far, right? This is borne out when you reread the person's question. They've had they can reproduce the problem doing a bill drill, which is shooting fast. For most people, they're shooting as fast as they can pull the trigger at the closer distances. It happens at matches. So when you add in match pressure, it's happening. And also when they're going to move quickly from one spot to another, they get the trigger freeze. You guys caught all that in the question, right? So the reason it's happening when they're going to be moving from one position to another is because psychologically, in their mind, they're thinking, I need to go fast. And beginner shooters have a hard time separating going fast at one thing from going fast at another. You know what I mean? So it's like, what we might think run fast, but for them it's like go fast, and they do everything fast. They shoot faster, they try to run faster, all that stuff. So this sounds like classic trigger freeze to me, just based on the way I read the question. When you put them under pressure or they try to go fast, I mean, we see the symptoms. Okay, so how do you actually solve the problem? You got to train the proper hand tension, and so basically training yourself to not over tense your firing hand. And the easy way to do this is, like during dry fire, you want to be able to reproduce the issue. So what I would do is in dry fire, it's really easy to tell yourself to go fast. So that will help. Will be easy to put pressure on yourself in dry fire. And it's like, hey, I'm going to go really fast. And then also you need to pull the trigger hard and fast during your dry fire, and it has to be realistic. So if you're using like a Glock, you pull hard, through the first trigger pull, then the trigger will go dead. You've got to take your finger off the trigger and press it again hard. A good rule that I give people is you want to press twice as hard on the trigger as you think it'll take to discharge the gun if it were live. Does that make sense, guys?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. So if you're going fast, actually feeling recoil, people press the trigger a lot harder than they actually think they do. Their firing hand tenses up more than they think it does. So what you can train yourself to do is during your dry fire, you press the trigger hard and fast, and that'll help you learn the proper hand tension because your firing hand will tense up a little bit, and you're going to train yourself to still move your finger. Okay, one little technique thing you can do is that's another reason why I'll say, hey, take your finger out of contact with the trigger with a striker fired or single action gun to make sure that the trigger would be resetting. With a double action gun, you let the trigger out a long ways, not enough to pick up the hammer again for a second shot, but let it out a lot. Okay, so dry firing like this, that's going to help this person get over that trigger freeze issue. If they do it properly, they're going to reproduce the issue. It'll feel weird for them with their hand, like they'll feel like they're crushing the gun too hard during their dry fire, but that's probably what they're doing live fire. It doesn't take that long to train out of this, but I mean you should be really pressing the trigger back in hard and trying to go faster in your dry fire and reproduce this. Then you could go verify it doing bill drills. If you want to do live fire stuff, pretty much anything that has you shooting a lot of rounds really fast is a good live fire test for this. So bill drills, you don't have to do them at 7 yards. You could move up to 3 yards. And then pretty much the only challenge is to get the gun out of the holster and then not trigger freeze at a 3 yard distance. A good goal time for that is like 1.7 seconds. That's pretty good goal time for most people. Sure, you can go faster, but probably the primary thing you're battling there is to keep relaxed and actually able to shoot that fast. So that's how I see the problem, and that's what I would do to fix it. What do you think, guys? How'd I do?
Yeah, you touched on really well. So
Bitch,
I
I
want
fucking
to.
touched on it. I fucking bent it over and fucked it for you. What are you talking about?
I can
So
only come from the experience of not dry firing. I just worked it out in live fire, doing bill
Yeah, I
drills.
mean, well, look, either you're going to work it out intuitively in live fire, or like for most people, they need a way to reproduce it in dry fire. You
Yeah.
know?
So something not that's really talked about is trigger release. So everybody actually talks about trigger pull because it really affects your accuracy. But in speed shooting, if this guy is having a trigger freeze, he's not really practicing the trigger release part. And
Yeah.
Ben
So
just talked about it.
yeah, the fix there is train yourself, especially with the striker fired or single action. Get your finger. I
Yeah.
take it all the way out of contact with the trigger and press in again. That
Yeah.
ensures you're going to reset it in live fire
Yeah.
for sure. Even
The
people.
bad drill be doing basically breaking the shot, taking it all the way off, and then coming back as one. That's one shot.
Yeah.
That way, you're training yourself to come all the way off and back off.
Yes, correct.
They should be- yeah, focus.
And to be honest, Matt, even people that want to do pin and reset trigger control, I mean, if you watch them on high speed footage when they're railing on stuff up close, I mean, their fingers are flying off that shit.
Yeah.
Or
no
people
one
that
stays
are,
on it.
or people that are like, hey, prep and press during high speed shooting. They don't. They just press right through. So
I
that's the way it
actually
works.
slow motion some top shooters, and also there's an interview of the great one talking about how sometimes his index finger touches the front of the trigger guard after firing a shot. So his reset is making sure that he's coming all the way out of the trigger.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Resets the gun for sure, and that's I mean, there. I mean, if you're doing dry fire as people do it in like modern dry fire training, where you're doing multiple shots dry on a gun like a striker fired or single action gun or a double single gun where the trigger doesn't realistically work, people are very naturally going to train this way where their finger comes off the trigger and they press in again hard. Like it's very difficult for people to train otherwise, I think. I mean, to do good training, you pretty much have to train yourself to reset the shit out of the trigger, right? Because we're training for multiple shots, so the triggers aren't going to work realistically. So that's pretty much what we have to do.
And I want to give this guy a drill in live fire.
Give
So
them a
I
drill.
actually got a DQ because of the trigger freeze one time because it was on the 90 line and I had trigger freeze and I shot another round that was over 180. And then after that, I started shooting targets at 3 yards to have really fast trigger finger without trigger freeze. And then I still do it occasionally. So go to the range, put a target at 3 yards, try to shoot it 14 splits, 12 splits, something like that, without trigger freeze.
All right, fantastic. Well, let's move on to the next question, guys. So I think that question got punched in the dick hole. You're not going to like this question, Hopkins. Or maybe you will. Oh, no, you will. Okay. Ben, I'm a B-class limited shooter and would consider myself quite casual. I would like to move up in competitions, but have a difficult situation for dry and live fire. I travel a shit ton all over the world and for weeks at a time. Do you or your entourage have any suggestion on how I could work to improve my skills without my gear? I think my low-hanging fruit is in regard to accuracy. I can hose all right, but at range I end up making follow-up shots. Maybe you cover this in your book, but I'm cheap and haven't bought it yet. Thanks in advance, maybe. This guy knows he's asking for the moon with this question. What do you think, Hopkins? How can he train to be more
There's only
accurate
one
without
way.
his gear?
There's only one way, it's visualization. That's the only way you could do it without your gear. Any other answer to this, I would say is wrong. But I like to hear your
Shit. I don't have anything else, man.
I don't know how else you could train it.
This guy's asking for the moon, isn't he?
It's a pretty tough question. I like
Do you wanna-
visualization's the only thing I got for it.
You want to punch this guy in his dick hole, don't you?
No. I mean, there's nothing wrong with him.
Yeah.
If he travels for work, he has to do it. I think visualization is the only way you can actually get around this. And it's not going to be as good as like actually shooting or actually holding the gun. But
No, it's not. Juan Sik, what do you think?
Okay. So first of all, I want to say, even at home, I would say at least 30% of my dry fire training is done without a gun. So I personally do a lot of practice without a gun on my hand. So this guy can do it. But
So you're training movements and that sort of thing.
yes. So movement sort of thing too. But what I'm talking about, that 20%, 25% is because I'm doing walkthrough in my dry fire. Most people don't do walkthrough. Most people I know, they just put a target and do repetition, just rip the gun out of the holster kind of thing. But I don't just rip the gun out of my holster. Before I shoot, even if it's one draw and one shot, I would do walkthrough as if I was shooting at a match, at least once the first run. So what I'm doing is like making sure my index point is right on the gun. But so this guy doesn't have a gun, and if I don't have a gun, what I can do is coming into position, coming out of the position, shooting on the move kind of thing. I can do everything without my gun because I developed my walkthrough skills. For example, one of them will be if I grip my hand in a certain way, and then if I present my hand to the target and focus on my thumb area, if I actually do it with the gun, the sight is aligned. If I tried that in walkthrough without a gun too. So I can literally practice shooting on the move and all the movement skills, and also even the reload part, like making sure my index finger is touching my pinky on the right hand. If I do that when I actually have a gun, I can 99% I can execute that. So that's really about how my dry fire is, because I'm sure this guy probably doesn't really do walkthrough as detailed as I am. But if this guy changes his training regiment like I do, every single run I would do a walkthrough without a gun on my hand, but still present my arm, still do all the process that I do with the gun. This guy, I think he can do without a gun. He can do most of the things without a gun and still have similar effects that the practice requires a gun.
Right. So what I would say to add to that, what he needs to go out do is go out to the range and shoot accurate shots with his gun and pay a lot of attention to how his hands feel. You know, visualizing how he grips the gun, or not visualize, but remembering how he grips the gun and presses the trigger straight, and then take that feeling when he's doing it right and visualize the shit out of that. Like that's what he wants to take and do. If he's able to do it right during live fire and remember it, he can visualize it and make some progress. But it's still going to be pretty tough without his gear, right, Matt?
As long as he can remember like how it feels and all that, I think you could get pretty far. Way better than not doing nothing at all.
Well, how much time during the day do you guys spend thinking about shooting?
A lot.
A lot. Yeah, spend a lot of time doing this.
25 hours.
25 hours. Oh, wait a minute. I see what you did there, you bastard. Well,
Yeah, but
guys,
to be honest, the method I just suggested is only when you developed that kind of skill, the walkthrough skill, or like you said, Ben, the feeling, you remembering the feeling, you remembering how you grip your hand, grip the gun with your hand.
that'd be my real, concern here is since he can't do it right now, he can't learn to do it right by visualization. He can reinforce doing it right through visualization and learn to be more consistent at doing it right, but he can't learn how to do it right in the first place.
I think you could correct an error though.
Yeah, no, if he's like, hey, I want to do it like this is the way to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that can work. All right, guys. Another bang up podcast episode, that's for sure. Listener folks, if you have any questions you'd like the answer to, go to bensteger.com. Send me your question. We'd love to hear it, especially Matt. Matt loves questions, his favorite shit ever. Right, Matt?
Yes, every one of them.